Wicked Gingerbread. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving, but now you're probably wondering the same thing that I'm wondering. What the heck do I do with all of these leftovers? So I kind of thought of some ways that you could repurpose some of these leftovers. Today we're going to be making 3 dishes. The first is either a sweet, it could also be considered a breakfast. It is cranberry turnovers with cream cheese. Then we're also going to have Monte Cristos that have turkey and brie and cranberry. So make sure you save some of your cranberry because I've got a couple recipes for that. And then last I'm going to do a turkey shepherd's pie, traditional English fare. So for now, let's get to the cranberry turnovers. Very simple recipe, just a few ingredients. By the way, if you're new here, my name's Molly. I live in Central Ohio. I love to cook. I try to lighten things up. Now this dish isn't going to be like, this isn't considered diet food, but anyway, it's good to see you here in my kitchen. Thanks for watching my videos. If you're a regular here, if you've seen some of my other ones, welcome back as well. So what we want to do for this recipe first is we're going to combine, you could either use fat-free or you could use a third less fat, 1 tub, 8 ounces of cream cheese. Now you want this room temperature, so I usually use a spatula and try to get every little bit of it. To the cream cheese, I am going to add, now we're using a whole ½ cup of powdered sugar. You could use the Lakanto monk fruit powdered sugar. I just don't happen to have any. So this is just regular powdered sugar. Make sure you save a little bit back if you don't have much left. I'm going to sprinkle a little on the turnover when we're done. And then I'm going to put in a pinch, if you have it, of orange zest. Now I keep some, whenever I get a bunch of oranges in, I will take all the zest off of them before I eat one of them or use them for a recipe. So you want to try to mix this up best you can. Okay, and then off to the side I have about a cup of cranberry sauce. And I now have the cream cheese and powdered sugar mixed up, along with the pinch of orange zest. Now what we're going to do for this, I have the oven preheated to 375, and I'm just using 1 sheet. This comes with 2 sheets of puff pastry. I'm just using 1. And what I'm going to try to do, I don't know if I can get 8 or 10. I'm going to try to get, because these puff pastries have a good bit of calories and fat, about 10 grams of fat for a 1/6 of a sheet, 150 calories. So what I'm going to do is roll this out. Now what you want to do is put just a pinch of your wheat flour. So I'm going to take a rolling pin. I'm just going to try to, you're not going to get it too flat because it is kind of thick, but I'm going to try to roll it out as much as I can. And they don't have to look pretty. So what I'm going to do is use a pizza cutter. And I think, let's see. Let me see how many I think I can get out of this. Just going to start cutting it into kind of angles. And I think I want to try to make squares out of it. Or like little triangles. Yeah, that looks like it would be best. I'm trying to make little triangles. Because you want this to almost look like, I mean, it's a turnover. So let me make this into, I'm going to make it into triangles. So what you're going to do is, they're almost like little sandwiches. Some of these I just rolled out the best I could, and then I'm going to fold them over. In fact, this one could probably be rolled out a little bit more. Cream cheese first. So I'm just going to I'm going to try to put a little bit at a time, and then I can always add more, but I want to make sure that I have plenty. Actually, we might wind up only using about half of this. Yep, I think we're going to just use half of the... So we're going to wind up using 4 ounces of cream cheese. A half a cup. We'll see, I might even use less cranberry. Just be generous with them, and I still think that 4 ounces is going to be plenty. Just try to get them even. And you could make, this is enough that you could make, if you really like it, you could use the whole box of the puff pastry and do the full recipe. But I didn't realize how much this is going to be, so it's even better. I'll have to go back to my app because I plugged all of this information in, and I'll change it. So this is going to be half of the recipe. And now what you're going to do is now you're going to use the cranberry. And again, this is going to be about a half a cup of cranberry. You might even be able to get by with less than that. So then you're just going to top it with cranberry. Pinch the edges. It's okay if it kind of sneaks out a little bit. And you want to make sure that you give these a little bit of room because they will rise. The puff pastry means just that. They puff up. So if I had to do it again, I would definitely make the squares a little more even. Okay, into the oven, 375 degrees for about 20 minutes. A Monte Cristo sandwich. Now it's very similar to a croque monsieur. A croque monsieur is where they take layers of meat like turkey, ham, and cheese, and they dip it in with two pieces of bread, and they'll dip it in egg, and then they'll melt cheese on it. This is very similar to that, but a Monte Cristo does not have the cheese melted on the outside. So this is where we're using our leftover turkey. I have lots of turkey, and we're using our cranberry sauce from Thanksgiving. So what you're going to do, as usual, I'm using the bread. That's only 35 calories because you're going to, for one person, for one sandwich for lunch, you're going to use 2 pieces of bread. And this is very similar. I put out a recipe, a video about stuffed French toast. It's similar to that, but this is a savory dish. So what you're going to do is take, this is brie. You could use just regular brie cheese as well, but this is only 40 calories, so I'm going to go ahead and use 2 of them. So it's best if you could leave this out at room temperature. So I'm going to use 2 of the wedges for the brie on one side of the bread. You want to just try to get it even. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of cranberry. Now remember to factor in, if you're putting this in MyFitnessPal or Weight Watcher, Chronometer, make sure that you allow for any sugar that you put in the cranberry sauce. So now you're going to take, I don't know, maybe whatever you can fit. Maybe 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of your sliced turkey. Try to slice it as thin as you can. And then you're going to put the other top, so it's like a sandwich. So now what we're going to have to do is make a dipping sauce. So you'll want to use, for one piece, if you're only doing one, you'll want to use about 1/4 cup of egg white and just a splash of almond milk. And then take a whisk and just incorporate the two. And then I'm going to lightly dip each side into the egg mixture. You might even be able to get 2 sandwiches out of the 1/4 of a cup of egg and the splash of milk. So you don't want it to fall apart, but we're going to now put that on. I have a skillet that has been preheated and sprayed with nonstick spray. So now I'm going to show you how I cook it. And you just want to get it lightly toasted. I'm going to let it brown on both sides, and it's okay to kind of push down. You want the brie cheese to melt into the turkey and the cranberry. So for today's dinner, I'm very excited. This is traditionally a British or English recipe, shepherd's pie. Keeping in with this theme, I thought a shepherd's pie would be really great to use up the rest of that turkey. And certainly if you have leftover green bean casserole, you could throw that in. I don't have any left, we ate it all. So one thing that's a kind of a time saver, I keep these on hand all the time. Sometimes I'll make mini pot pies, or I'll just throw together like some kind of a soup. But this is just a mixed vegetable. You can get them everywhere. So that's, well, with shepherd's pie, it's going to be 2 parts. The top layer, I'm going to attempt to show you how to pipe in a mashed potato mixture. So that's something else you'll need. If you have, please tell me you have leftover mashed potatoes. If not, I actually wanted to tell you that there's a really nice healthy version of mashed potatoes. You don't even have to cook it, and they're delicious. It's called Simply Skinny. Usually mashed potatoes have a ton of butter. This one has part skim. 1/2 a cup is only 110 calories, which is really good for mashed potatoes. But this is what we're going to use for the topping. And we're not going to have anything fancy. Certainly if you have a piping bag and the tool, the tip that goes on it. I don't have those right now. I tried to stop making cakes so much. I used to make pastries and I would eat them too much, and you know. So I am going to just use a regular, like I think it's a 1/2 gallon size Ziploc, cut the tip off, and we're going to pipe the we're going to attempt to pipe the mashed potato. So this is 2 parts. The base is more like a stew or soup, and you want to use either cooking wine, regular wine, or Worcestershire. I can never say that. You get the idea. You need something that kind of has like a tang, because you want the base to be like a hearty stew with vegetables. And then the top is going to be like a creamy, elegant potato. So let's jump right in. The first part is making the base. Now normally you would want to make the base like a soup on the stove. But because I have turkey here that's already cut up and cooked, you don't have to cook it as long. You're just trying to soften the vegetables a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is actually make the base and mix up. I'm using several different herbs, and I'm using mushrooms. I always like to bulk it up. This is, you could omit the turkey, and you could actually turn this completely into a vegetarian dish. So the first thing we're going to do is try to get some of the wet ingredients in here. I'm going to do a cup of, and I'm choosing to use beef broth just because I want kind of a hearty stew type of taste on the bottom, and that is unsalted beef broth. So this is what the mixture looks like. You want to just give it a good stir, and it should come up almost the whole way. So again, I put 2 cups of the mixed vegetables, 2 cups of the chopped up turkey, 1 cup of beef broth, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, salt, pepper, 1 cup of onion, chopped up onion. I just used white onion. I have rosemary, about a tablespoon, half a tablespoon of sage, half a tablespoon of thyme, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and I keep it in this nice tube. Before I found these tubes, I would open those little cans and then wind up throwing half of it away. And I did put a cup and a half of mushroom. Okay, now for the fun part. We are going to attempt to pipe. Again, that's these simply skinny mashed potatoes, 40% less fat. Really good, you know, just basic mashed potatoes. They didn't put a lot of butter in them. So I'm gonna actually put about 3 cups. Okay. And to this, I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of light sour cream. You could use fat-free, but I think for this recipe, you still want it to have, like, sometimes the fat-free has kind of a weird aftertaste. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reduce some of the fat, but still maintain some of the flavor. Again, that's just 1/4 of a cup. And then I'm also going to add about 1/2 of a tablespoon of smoked paprika. You could put rosemary in here or thyme, but I just want a little bit of something different than what we already put in the base. So once you mix this up, you want to take just a standard Ziploc bag, pick a corner. You're going to try to put all of it to one corner. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and dump the whole thing in the bag. That way I don't have to, normally when you're piping something, sometimes you run out and you have to start, you know, open the bag back up again, and we don't want to have to do that. Okay, so just roll it up. Pick a corner that looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and seal it so it doesn't start to come out, but try to get all the air out of it. Yep, there we go. This is a lot. So you could do it in 2 different batches. But what I'm going to do is tip the end, and I want it to be big, kind of big chunks. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of pinch it back so you can get a good, the bigger the cut, of course, the more you're going to get out. Because this is thick mashed potatoes, you want to just go ahead and you know, do a decent size. Just kind of squeeze it at this end, and then just do little. I'm just making it into almost like little balls. And if you need to set this down, you might want to get a cup, but I'm going to show you up close. There's what it's looking like so far. And you're going to just do this the whole way around. I think it's actually just perfect. It's going to, yep, if I try really hard, I can get, yep, the whole thing's going to be covered. This is exciting. This is really exciting. What we're going to do is bake this for about 30 minutes. Because the meat's already cooked, you don't have to worry about that. So you're just trying to get everything bubbling. And then the last 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, it might only take 5 or 10. I'm going to put this under the broil. Now, if you don't have a broiler, that's okay. What I'm going to try to do the last 10 to 15 minutes is get this kind of a golden, almost crunchy on top, the mashed potato.